fact that we were there and be able to have open debates and people could chime in on how they felt about things. Again, something that can't happen every place. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And so to tie this back in, the fact that we're giving these experiences to our students, that town offices, officials, and committees have opened their doors. And obviously, yes, it's a public forum. They're welcome to come in. But you've done more than just, yes, they can come. You've welcomed them. You've engaged them in conversation. And in some instances, you've stopped long enough to give a little bit of mentoring and inspiration. I'm sure that there are lots of you in this room who can remember a particular moment when it hit you that, wow, I didn't even know really anything about this, and I think I really am interested in this. I may want to go down this path, and maybe you did. Or maybe it just remained as a very high interest for you, and it all happened because of an experience. And as much as I love classroom teaching and enjoyed it so much as an educator, we know that when you can give the experience, when you can smell it and taste it and feel the vibrations in the room and feel the energy, when you can become part of something that's happening, it sticks with you at a much greater level. So I thank those folks in this community who have opened up the doors to our students for so many years doing this program. It's a fantastic opportunity, and I look forward to seeing it continue for many more years. So thank you for that. Just so you get a very quick sense of what it means to students, I had asked for a couple of quotes for what some of our students have had to say about the program, so if you'll indulge me for another moment or two. One student wrote, "The Board of Health meeting that I went to was interesting. I had no idea what the board was responsible for, but soon realized how important that committee is. It was really interesting to see how our town government works and operates." Another student wrote, "The local government project was a real eye-opening experience. It's really interesting to see the function and methods used in the local government of Hopkinton and how it influences the town. Attending the government meeting, I attended the Board of Health meeting, and I found that while the people who run our town are very organized and official, they are also extremely personable and just a very caring part of this community." What a wonderful compliment. So we thank you for that, for your participation. I'd like to introduce now Selective Chairman Ben Paleko, please.
You all here today. I think you all probably know this is actually really fun for me to be here and see you. I have to say, I look at many of you and I still remember you all from playing t-ball and kindergarten soccer. So it's kind of remarkable to be up here and see that with this phase of your lives and what you all done and where you're going from here. And so in fact, but I'm here to talk about government today. And the way to start off, I think, is to probably talk just a little bit about what qualifies me to be here. I realized as I was thinking about this that I probably know much more about most of you than you know about me. So the question is, what qualifies me to be here to talk about government and public service? The quick summary is I've spent almost half of my life in public service of some sort. Right out of college, I joined the Navy and served as an officer on active duty and reserves for about 14 years. And then I've spent much of the past 10 years in part-time volunteer positions here in the town government, most recently on the Board of Selectmen. So why get involved in government service? Some people will tell you they entered it to help others, to support people moving ahead in life and protect the weak. Some will say because it's rewarding. You get to do meaningful, interesting, and sometimes exciting things that you might not get to do otherwise. I wasn't much older than all of you when I was flying a plane over Iraq. And in my current job as chairman of the Board of Selectmen, I get to make all manner of decisions on behalf of an entire town of 15,000 people with a $60 million budget. Those are both valid reasons. But I'll tell you that I believe the most important reason for you to get involved in civic life is that government has great power, and you need to make sure that power is used the way you want it to be. A couple small things to consider. Almost everything you're going to learn, do, or eat today in school was decided for you by the school committee, which is an elected body that hires a superintendent, who all your teachers work for, that decides the curriculum, and that takes care of all the school buildings. On the Board of Selectmen, we set a budget every year that determines the services you will get and the property taxes your parents will pay. One of my favorite examples I use when I talk about the power of government, things big and small, is to remind you that when you go to the gas station, the reason you can't lock the pump when you try to fill your tank is because somebody in the state's legislature decided that you shouldn't be able to. The fact that we may have a casino down the street is because some legislators wanted to raise more money for the state to spend. So you may think that all those decisions made by those groups are valid, or you may not. But if you don't, and if you go along with them anyway, you're doing both yourself and society a disservice. If you don't even know what's going on, that's even worse. Government needs to be something you help control, not something that just happens to you. Sometime this year, or for sure during your time in this building, you've heard the famous speech that says, our government is of the people, by the people, for the people. We must always remember that you can't have the third one without the first two. One of the greatest risks our nation faces is that our government becomes effectively a separate class, distanced from all of us, and therefore no longer accountable to our wishes and held to our standards. There's no reason for this to happen. Good government doesn't require a special type of education or long-term public servants. All it requires is people with common sense and decent values to do their duty and then move on, to be replaced by others. It requires broad participation at all levels, but it can, in my view probably should, be in addition to other things you will do with your life. And that's actually the part of my background I'd most like you to remember today. I've done my duty several times, and then I've moved on, back to the private world, where we should all remember that where the actual work of building the nation is done. Government can support or hinder that work, but it can't replace it. You may have heard the saying that the cemeteries of the world are filled with indispensable men and women. In the same way, we need to ensure that the government of our nation doesn't become filled with self-considered, indispensable public servants. All of you are nearing the end of this first part of your life and are about to embark upon stage 2. The next 5 years will shape how you go about the following 10, and many of the views and habits you're going to acquire in this next phase are going to stay with you for a lifetime. As you move forward, I hope you'll think about the need for each of you to be an active participant in government in some form or at some level, both for your own good and for the continued good of our country. That means you need to do four things. First, you need to know what's going on. Pay attention. Think about all these things when you do them on a daily basis and how government influences them. Second, have educated opinions on those issues. Look at both sides. Think about what it means and why it's the way it is. Third, express those opinions through voting. You're all about to, well, sooner than I can believe, you're all about to turn 18. So you really have to participate. You really have to get out there and make sure your voice is heard that way. And fourth, you have to actually actively participate in areas that are important to you. There are many opportunities to get involved in government, big and small, and you have to find one that fits you and do it. Never forget that you get the government you deserve. Because sooner than you may think, your generation is going to be in charge, and you need to make sure that the government of this town, state, and country continues to work for you, and not the other way around. Thank you very much. I'd now like to take the opportunity to introduce our state representative, Carolyn Dyke.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning. How was everyone this morning? Good. Was everyone surprised when they talked about Chairman Ben Paleko coming up to the microphone? It's great to be here. I'm State Representative Carolyn Dyke. It's great to see so many bright faces here at this hour of the morning. And I confess, when I listen to the comments that we've already heard this morning, I think I get as excited about this event as any of you in this room. Listening to public officials talk about democracy, I think we're all reminded of what a remarkable thing we have here in the U.S. and in Massachusetts, where we have the oldest continuously operating constitution in the world, which is a remarkable thing, and something everyone here in this room can be really proud of. When you think about what Student Government Day might look like in other countries, I think you really get an appreciation for what we have here in the U.S. And, I was sitting in your seat what feels like not terribly long ago. And since that time, I've operated and worked at both local government positions as well as a state government position. As I do that, every day, quite frankly, I learn more. And I learn more and more about how our democracy works. And quite honestly, I'm more and more amazed at our founding fathers and what they have set up here in our country. And thinking about being here today and what to pass on to all of you is really kind of that sense of amazement and that sense of participation that is so much at the heart of who we are. And when I think about what they constructed in constructing our democracy, if anyone has been here and had to make a decision about with maybe 10 or 20 people in the room, I'm sure everyone in this room has been in that position, to think that our founding fathers found a way to make decisions, including the perspectives of hundreds of thousands of millions of people, and respecting every voice, regardless of your gender, regardless of your race, regardless of your income, and to give everyone a role in making those decisions that affect each one of us every day is a remarkable thing. And to see it work in action and to recognize that not only have we been given this amazing power, and Chairman Paleko mentioned power, and at the end of the day, that's really what our democracy is all about. Who has the power? And if you look around the world and see, where you have a monarch or a dictator, and think of all the power for decisions being vested in one person. And the remarkable experiment it was to think that we could make decisions as a population and to set up the mechanics of that. I got to tell you, I honestly am amazed and I get excited about that every day. And if I could pass on a few things to you, remember that your power is in your vote. And it always strikes me, there are about 45% of our residents in the country today that don't vote. Which is just amazing. You have been given that power. Many of you are close to being 18 now, and will be given the opportunity to register to vote. Most of you will, thank goodness. I think if we look at our voting records here in Hopkinton and in this area are really quite high. Kudos to us for taking advantage of that democracy, but it's also something that we have to exercise. And as was stated by previous commenters, get involved. Understand how the mechanics of government work, because that is how you make your voice heard. That is how you impact decisions that affect your community every day. The casino was mentioned. That is an issue that is going to have a very significant impact here in the community of Hopkinton. How do you influence that? How do you make your voice heard and ensure that your community's values, your community's opinions and needs are respected? It's by taking advantage of that voice that you are given through this process. So it's so great to be here this morning with all of you. I want to thank everyone who pulled this together. This is a conversation that you're going to continue to have, I hope, throughout your life, about how you can be engaged, how you can be involved. And I want to give credit to the town of Hopkinton, which I know that I would bet that everyone in this room has had some experience with public service already, even as high school students, which is where I've seen many of your faces around the community. So keep that going and expand your role, and remember that you very much have a baton to carry for all of those who fought to have and to give you this democracy and that voice that you have. Remember their sacrifice. Remember that you have a role to play in continuing the vision and the democratic approach that they fought so hard for and believed so strongly in. So be passionate about your democracy, protect your vote, and the right for your neighbors to vote. And I look forward to speaking with some of you after the event. And again, thanks to everyone who continues to host this great opportunity for us to have a conversation.
I
our esteemed State Senator, Karen Muskoka.
Good morning. Oh, come on, I'm not a morning person, but I can even say that louder. Good morning. Much better, much better. Thank you. I want to applaud the town of Hopkinton and the school system for having this today. It was great. I was at the Board of Selectmen meeting this week with Representative Dykema, and I saw some students there. Were any of you there this week? If you were there, raise your hand. There were a bunch of you. I see some. Well, good. So you had a taste, and all of you have had a taste of what it's like to participate. Assistant Superintendent Marianne DeMello mentioned this is her first Student Government Day. It blew me away to realize this is my 9th. I have been State Senator for Hopkinton since 2005. And I want to thank all of you who are involved, whether it be the Relay for Life that's coming up or in any other capacity, because as noted, one of the big things that you will see and you will find that by participating, you can make a difference. We've had some great discussion this morning from Chairman Blako, from Representative Dykema, about the benefits of participation. But the bottom line is our democracy is only as strong as our participation. If you don't participate, clearly there's not the interaction, there's not the debate and the discussion that is so necessary for our vibrant democracy and for the nurturance and for the existence of our country. So the point that I would really like to make to all of you is get involved. If you're not involved in something, pick anything. Just something to get involved in and participate. I know many of you are in a lot of school committees and involved in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that you learn is, as was noted, you may have some power in making some decisions or influencing where even funds may go or not go. But the bottom line is you can make a real positive difference by your involvement. And that's not only important for the participation of democracy, but it's really rewarding. And I have to say, it can be a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet people, to talk to people, and to learn more about what's going on. Just a little bit of history. I am State Senator. This is not something that I planned on doing. This isn't something, I started out as a social worker. I was then a labor lawyer. I went to law school, became a labor lawyer for many years. And then I was an arbitrator, mediator, self-employed. In that capacity, I got more and more involved in my community. I learned about how the education funding formula was what I felt was unfair. I ran for school committee. I won, and then I started a coalition to lobby the State House to change the education funding formula because I felt the towns of Ashland, Framingham, Hopkinton were not getting its fair share of funds back. I won state representative. I ran and I won because I felt like I could make better change from within the system than from without. And I'm happy to say that it took several years, but I ran for state senate in 2004, became state senator in 2005. In 2006, we had formed enough consensus in it growing, and by talking to my colleagues in the State House, we changed the education funding formula, which has benefited Hopkinton and the Metro West and surrounding towns, according to a lot of the principles of that coalition that I helped start in the late 1990s. So it's really, there is a feeling of power, but it's very rewarding to be able to be in the position to help people, to help our students, all of you here, to help our communities. And I want to applaud all of the town officials, both elected and appointed, who put in many, many hours without, much compensation or any. But it really is rewarding. And hopefully, as you went to the Board of Selectmen this week, the Board of Health, or wherever, you saw some of the issues that come up. Those issues are on a federal, state, local level. Right now in the State House, we are talking about revenue and taxes and transportation and what needs to be done to have a world-class transportation so we can compete not only in the other states but across the world, to make sure that all of you have good jobs when you want a job, whether it be out of college or grad school or wherever you end up doing. These are issues that we end up talking about. How many of you have seen the Metro West bus service, the RTA? Have any of you seen that bus service that goes down 135 into... We had to change the law in the State House to allow us to have that bus service. That took many years to change, but now we're pulling back some of our funds that used to go into Boston to have that bus service to help a lot of people. These are things that you have the capacity to make a change. So all I ask is find something to get involved in, whether it be a campaign, whether it be the casino issue, if there's something that is important to you, and get involved and make a difference. If any of you, when you get to college, you want to intern, there are internships at the State House. I'm sure Representative Dykema would be happy to have interns. We have a lot of interns. We can't pay, because the state can't pay, but they're great jobs and you learn a whole lot. So I just want to say, by looking out and talking to some of the students this morning, it really is exciting because it just reinforces, I know what great hands we are in terms of our future in looking at all of you. So I thank all of you for being here, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Olivia Harvey.
I think most people here know that I'm Olivia Harvey, and I've been asked to speak this morning about how important it is to volunteer and get involved in your school and community, how by actively stepping up where there is a need, whether in your school or your town, can be a rewarding experience with many benefits that you may not even be aware of. We are fortunate to belong to such a great town where so many people donate countless hours to be on committees to help Hopkinton be the best it can be. I'm sure a lot of us here have in some way benefited from a volunteer program that has enhanced our education, arts, and sports programs. We're all busy. We have school, homework, sports, jobs, friends, and family. A lot of us think that we can't possibly add one more thing to our busy schedules. I've found that if you volunteer or participate in something that you are also very passionate about, you get to do what you love and help people at the same time, which is a win-win situation. I personally love being outside and running, so I sign up for races and walks that allow me to support a charity, bring awareness to a cause, and at the same time do what I love to do. By participating in the Walk for Hunger, Relay for Life, and the JDRF Walk, I've found ways to help raise money for St. Jude's Hospital, Project Bread, juvenile diabetes, cancer, and many other causes. We can also be more involved in our school committee. We can do this by offering our help to different clubs or by stepping up when someone asks for help. It is also important that once we elect our school government that we support them in any way we can. This can be as simple as attending fundraisers they set up to raise money for our class. We all know how important raising money is, especially this year when we have prom. If you are not sure how you can get started or you're not sure how to start participating and volunteering on your own, we have a lot of clubs at the school, like Leo Club, where they can help you get started in volunteering and participating in the school. These are all small ways that you can participate in your school and in your community, helping out while enjoying yourself with others. I encourage everyone here to think about finding some time in their day and finding a way to use time and reach out to people who may need your help.
Last night at school committee, I was having a brief conversation with your student representative, Josh Perez, saying how he had this wonderful conversation last year, I believe it was with you, Senator Spilka, about the casino issue and how it was just a wonderful opportunity to chat in this forum. And clearly, it had such an impression. He was so disappointed he wasn't going to be able to be here today. And he's managed to weasel himself in because he had to be here because of the difference it made. So with that, you have the remaining time it's important, have these wonderful conversations because it's a terrific opportunity for you. I want to thank the officials who have opened up their doors to our students. And students, I'd like to thank you very much for how you've represented Hopkinton High School. Enjoy the rest of the morning.